And now I'll take your questions. Helen?
Mr. President, in the recent past, there was an administration whose byword was, watch what we do, not what we say. How would you assess the credibility of your own administration in the light of the prolonged deception of Congress and the public in terms of your secret dealings with Iran, the disinformation, the trading of Sakharov for Danilov? And I'd like to follow up.
Well, Helen, let me take the last one first. I know some persist in saying that we traded Sakharov for Danilov. We did not. We said that we would have no dealings with the Soviet Union, even on going to Iceland, until Danilov was in our hands. But to bring it up to date on this, there was no deception intended by us. There was the knowledge that we were embarking on something that could be of great risk to the people we were talking to, great risk to our hostages, and therefore we had to have it limited to only the barest number of people that had to know. I was not breaking any law in doing that. It is provided for me to do that. At the same time, I have the right under the law to defer reporting to Congress, to the proper congressional committees on an action, and to defer it until such time as I believe it can safely be done with no risk to others. And that's why I have ordered in this coming week the proper committees will be briefed on this, and there are still some parts of this that we cannot go public with because it will bring to risk and danger people that are held and people that we have been negotiating with. We were not negotiating government to government. We were negotiating with certain individuals within that country.
You don't think your credibility has been damaged, and are you prepared now to disavow the finding which may let you make end runs around the Iranian arms embargo? Are you going to tear it up?
No, as I say, we are going to observe that embargo, and it's part of the same reason that, as I've said, we were doing this in the first place, and that is to see, among the other issues involved, if we can help bring about peace between those two countries, a peace without victory to either one or defeat, and that will recognize the territorial integrity of both. And this is something that all of our allies are seeking also. But I think the people understand that sometimes you have to keep a secret in order to save human lives and to succeed in the mission. Just as we went into Grenada without prior notice, because then we would have put to risk all of those men who are going to hit the beach. Yes, ma'am.
President, has Secretary Shultz discussed his resignation with you? Have you agreed to accept it, or have you asked him to stay on?
Mike, he has never suggested to me in our meetings that resignation, and in fact, he has made it plain that he will stay as long as I want him, and I want him. So there's never been any discussion there. He knows that I want him to stay, and he has in advance said that he wants to. There's been no talk of resignation.
If I may follow up, sir, has he made his staying conditioned on your agreeing not to send further arms to Iran?
No, there have been no conditions. As I say, we didn't discuss that. And as I've said now, there's no need to go further with this. The mission was served that made us waive temporarily that for that really minuscule amount of spare parts and defensive weapons. Chris?
Mr. President, you have stated flatly, and you stated flatly again tonight, that you did not trade weapons for hostages. And yet the record shows that every time an American hostage was released, last September, this July, and again just this very month, there had been a major shipment of arms just before that. Are we all to believe that was just a coincidence?
Chris, the only thing I know about major shipments of arms, as I've said, everything that we sold them could be put in one cargo plane and there would be plenty of room left over. Now, if there were major shipments, and we know this has been going on, there have been other countries that have been dealing in arms with Iran. There have been also private merchants of such things. that have been doing the same thing. Now, I've seen the stories about a Danish tramp steamer and Danish Sailors Union officials are talking about their ships taking various supplies to Iran. I didn't know anything about that till I saw the press on it, because we certainly never had any contact with anything of the kind. And so there's, it's just that we did something for a particular mission. There was a risk entailed, and Iran held no hostages. Iran did not kidnap anyone, to our knowledge, and the fact that part of the operation was that we knew, however, that the kidnappers of our hostages did have some kind of relationship in which Iran could at times influence them, not always, but could influence them, and so 3 of our hostages came home.
If I may follow up, sir, on that first point, your own chief of staff, Mr. Reagan, has said that the U.S. condoned Israeli shipments of arms to Iran. And aren't you, in effect, sending the very message you always said you didn't want to send? Aren't you saying to terrorists, either you or your state sponsor, which in this case was Iran, can gain from the holding of hostages?
No, because I don't see where the kidnappers or the hostage holders gained anything. They didn't get anything. They let the hostages go. Now, whatever is the pressure that brought that about, I'm just grateful to it for the fact that we got them. As a matter of fact, if there had not been so much publicity, we would have had 2 more that we were expecting.